introduce yourself, please?
Sure.
First.
My name is Loy Ashton, and I teach religious studies and philosophy in the Interdisciplinary Humanities Department at Tougaloo College in Jackson, Mississippi. Tougaloo College is a historically black college, and it has been around since 1869.
Okay. Our first question is, what is your impression about people who hosted you in Turkey? Did you make new friends here, new friends there?
I did. My impression was extremely positive. Um, Number of people that I enjoyed meeting, folks throughout the country in the places that we visited, but especially the guides, people who took us on the trip were very much we became very close to, and they became very good friends. Many of whom I've stayed in contact with ever since the trip, which was 4 years ago now. It was in 2005.
Okay, next question. What did strike you most in Turkey? Is there anything you can never forget?
Oh, so many things that were wonderful to see and to be part of in that trip to Turkey. I think one of the things that is difficult to forget is how uh, just peaceful and beautiful the country is. Uh, Everywhere we went, there were well, I'm trying to think of uh, how to put this into words, but it was just uh, I think when I'm in front of the camera, my
Never
it
mind, we
it
can cut it.
yeah,
So
it's hard for me to think of things to say um, when I'm being recorded.
you want me to ask again?
Let's skip that question. Yeah,
Or
let's go on to.
has your impression changed about Turkey and Turkish people after the trip? Was there any particular experience that impressed you a lot? Could you share with us, please?
Um, I didn't have much of an impression of Turkey or Turkish people before the trip. Hadn't didn't know much about Turkey. Hadn't met very many Turkish people prior to the trip. So I didn't really have a lot of stereotypes that I was coming with, other than I think, some of just the general ones that Americans have of the Middle East as being um, unstable and dangerous, and those kinds of things. And um, my experience was just the opposite. I mean, that Turkey was a very it's a very old place. A number of civilizations that are all layered on top of each other. There's a rich depth of history, and you can feel that history as you go around the country. So there wasn't a sense that I had of it being unstable at all. In fact, it being very stable. A lot of accumulated wisdom, a lot of rich appreciation of culture and the value of culture, from food to art to um, teaching and writing. So it it was a place that had, I mean, very much like Europe, has this wealth of history, but also had a vibrancy to it because I think um, of its young population and of the role that it plays as this kind of bridge between the Middle East and between Europe. So um, it really was, to me, I think, a very um, changing experience. Or transformative experience might be a better way of putting it, because it helped me to think about um, the Middle East in a very different light.
Okay. contribute any to your ideas about establishing peace in the world?
Um, it did. It gave me more hope for thinking how peace can happen, because many of the Turkish people that we met were themselves very interested in peace and wanting to have conversations across their culture and beyond their culture, and welcoming us to get to know them and welcoming us into their homes. Those kinds of interactions were extremely encouraging. I think that there are so many assumptions that we have as Americans that we are the only people out in the world who are trying to advocate for peace, and that everyone else is enmeshed in their own local conflicts. Um, that it takes going to a place like Turkey where you can see real commitment on the part of everyday people as well as business leaders to help promote educational projects and to fund those educational projects, which really do cut across cultural boundaries and national boundaries to promote peace and to promote understanding, that you begin to appreciate how parochial this view is, as we have as Americans, that we're the only ones, or the foremost in the world out there interested in trying to promote peace. To see the peace efforts of Turkish activists in the Gulen movement was very inspiring.
Would you like to go to Turkey again? And would you suggest to your friends to go?
Oh, I'd love to go to Turkey again. I hope I will be able to go many times again, and I would certainly, yeah, love to. Uh, for friends, for family, I would love to take my students on a trip. I mean, the educational value I think is just immense.
Have you had any information about the education activities encouraged by Glenn? Did you have chance to go to any school established by Fethullah Glen? What do you think about these schools?
Oh, very impressed by the schools. We went to a school on the outskirts of Istanbul, and it was an incredible school. It was a high school. One of the things that impressed me the most about this school, we went when they were having a science fair, and I used to compete in science fairs when I was in high school, and loved them and enjoyed them very much. And the quality of what was going on in the school was quite amazing. They had, for this particular science fair, brought in the department chair of the Department of Chemistry at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. The school had actually flown in this faculty member from Chapel Hill to be the judge of their science fair at this school. I mean, that was just blew me away. I mean, completely unheard of that they would take the quality of this event so seriously as to bring in somebody to do that. And of course, wandering around the gymnasium, looking at the exhibits, I was very, very impressed with the quality of what the students were doing for their science fair projects.
Next question. Do you think these education activities encouraged by Glen play an important role in building peace in the world?
I do. I do. I mean, I think anytime you have education which is an open kind of education, it's not about indoctrination, that it's not about closing oneself off to the world, but it's in fact learning what rich and varied traditions of learning there are in the world, whether that be in the scientific arenas or whether that be in the humanities, whether that be in the social arenas. I think anytime you have that kind of an educational project going, it is going to promote peace. I think the biggest obstacle to peace is misunderstanding and ignorance. And the Gulen schools, I think, take on that problem directly and are a wonderful, wonderful solution to it.
What can you tell